Hey, welcome back to this week's review. This month we're going to be looking at some Christmas movies, so to start it off we're going to be looking at The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Although this isn't considered a classic Christmas movie by any means, it has a lot of snow and it has Santa, and I watch it around Christmas a lot, so it's a Christmas movie. I won't be comparing it too much to the book, but I do think that it is a solid and respectful adaptation to the original source material, and you can tell that the filmmakers really love the story and they wanted to be as loyal as possible when making it. I appreciate that they took their time to establish the situations and the circumstances that the children were in the beginning of the story, as well as establish their chemistry between one another before they enter into the wardrobe, which in the book only takes about 3 pages, so the movie took much more time to establish all these aspects. And even though the book is targeted a bit more towards children, the filmmakers knew that for this movie there was going to be a lot of range in the age of folks that were going to see it, so the movie doesn't really feel childish at all, especially in a lot of the themes that they portray, such as betrayal and pride and war and self-sacrifice. Gone to wait for the plane to go by. The visuals throughout the whole movie looked really good, and the production design, especially for everything in Narnia, looked really great. All of the creatures looked super cool, and I'm really impressed by how well the CGI has held up over the years for this movie. Even if I wouldn't consider the cinematography in this movie to be outstanding by any means, the beauty and or the epicness that is in each shot still feels magical, and it definitely feels like we're being brought into a whole nother world. There's some really great sequences, whether they be action-packed or more dramatic, and overall the story is really on point. All of the Chronicles of Narnia stories, as well as Lord of the Rings, has really set the high bar for me in terms of storytelling. In this instance, instead of C.S. Lewis just blatantly stating that because we are sinful, Jesus died on the cross for us and resurrected, C.S. Lewis instead interweaves this story into his own, and pulls readers in through another door, or I guess another wardrobe, and shows us the same story but in a more fantastical way that is not only enjoyable for a Christian audience, but also for those who aren't necessarily faith-based but who are just looking for another fun and enjoyable story. There are so many concepts in this story, both in the book and in the movie, that point at a bigger picture and present theology in a way that is very unique but very special to this world of Narnia. All of the characters are really fun to watch, and almost all of them have a really solid story arc by the end of the film. We see a lot of acts of kindness between a lot of the characters, but we also see some of them make decisions, both good and bad, that not only affect them, but the characters around them. Many of the interactions between all of them are really funny and lighthearted, and both Aslan and the White Witch feel very powerful and intimidating, but obviously in a different way because they are pure evil and pure good. Looking at it in a vacuum and not looking at the books, I really don't have any complaints. I mean, sometimes some of the interactions between the children felt a little bit pushed at times in terms of their back and forth banter, but not really in a way that felt unrealistic. And now the segment for the parents. I would say that this movie would probably be appropriate for kids maybe 8 and up. There's no sexual content or language, but the violence and some of the scary scenes are really the main factor for this movie. So if your kid gets scared easily, maybe hold off for a couple more years. This movie is rated PG, and even though the battle sequence at the end is fairly intense, Aslan's sacrifice is definitely the most hardcore scene in the movie. And I would say is probably PG-13 or like borderline PG-13 just because of the subject material and some of the scary images that are within that scene. But then again, the crucifixion of Jesus, which this scene is supposed to be symbolic of, definitely wasn't a PG event either, so take that as you will. It was all done in love, folks. All done in love. And that's it for this review. If you're interested in more of these reviews, check out the videos down below or check out my Instagram stories where I've periodically posted slightly abridged reviews for this and other movies that aren't on this channel. And then for those of you who want to know more about the specific contents of this film, I have the links for the plugged in and Common Sense Media reviews down below, as well as the Parent's Guide for IMDb. So if you haven't already, please subscribe and like the video if you did enjoy it, and hit the bell icon if you want to get notified when the next video comes out. See you in the next one.